Good evening. 6 p.m. It's time for my podcast. This is the podcast known as Law and Disorder with your host, Ken Gold. This podcast appears 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. For those of you willing to stick around for minutes, I will be your guide, not unlike a highlight zone sometimes showing up here. But you could do worse. So let me tell you what tonight's podcast is about. Wait, hold on. Let me not tell you what tonight's podcast is about, because I don't know. Jackson, I put the link to that in the top. That's Buddha Music, the best of Imee. She is a Thai singer, and I posted the album from YouTube in the title area. Feel free to have at it. I hope you wait till after the podcast, though. Hi, Donna. Haven't seen you for a while. Nice to see you. Welcome, Kathy. Nice to see you. It's good to see anybody, I guess, actually, because it's a podcast. And when you do a podcast, sometimes you think, what if nobody shows up? What will I do? The answer is I'll still podcast because I'm committed. I'm committed to the proposition that Monday through Saturday, I'll show up at 6 p.m. It's a contract with people who know me, who have listened. It's kind of a contract. I will show up at 6 p.m. each night. You should be able to believe that, unless something significant like a concert or something I have to go to. Well, I mean, I have to go to, but I've paid to go to, and it conflicts. And then on the other side of the contract is you. You, as a listener, are contracting to listen and to interact, if possible, when helpful, with me, so that the 30 minutes on Wednesday, 45 minutes other days a week goes relatively painlessly. Yeah, it's very helpful if everybody joins in and makes this as painless and as interactive as possible. So I've not seen Jackson before. Donna, I haven't seen you for a while. Rose, Kathy, you're historically regulars, so welcome. I know you'll keep me on track. So what is on track? I have no clue. So all I said about tonight was Om. Everybody's heard the word Om. That's the truth. Everybody, you've heard it. You're not even sure where you heard it sometimes, but and then it's kind of, what is Om? The Hindus often use Om. Buddhists use Om. It's a symbol, right? Did Prince use the Om symbol for a while? I can't remember if he used the Om symbol or not. It doesn't have a specific meaning. It's believed that it's a call upon spiritual beings who can, when called upon, can infuse the chanter with energy, spiritual energy. And Om Mani Padme Om, which I played yesterday and is also on this Buddha Music album, is also a meaningful, meaningless chant that she sings delightfully. Many, many artists have chanted, many temples, Tibetan temples have chanted it. And again, it's a resort to this kind of spiritual wellness, but its meaning is ambiguous. But that doesn't stop it from being used all over Asia and all over the United States. It's, and delightfully, people like Imee and others have turned it into a very pleasant sounding, relaxing chant. And anybody can chant it. It kind of, I see no reason not to chant it. So I made a mistake tonight in my apparel, my wardrobe, so to speak. I'm wearing hi, Kathy, yo. I'm wearing a white shirt because I'm going to the temple, and I usually wear either white shirt or I wear my yellow Buddhist Center of Dallas shirt. What I'm discovering as I'm sitting here is I'm beginning to sweat because it's heavy. It's long sleeve and it's a thicker material. And I don't think I'm going to make it very long in this shirt. I think we're going to have to resort to one that's linen or something because this bad boy is maybe for the winter. I've been sitting there for about an hour doing stuff, but now all of a sudden, dang man, I'm beginning to sweat. So, but back to Om. So Om is it's a universal message that arises out of Sanskrit. Sanskrit, is used in Asian Buddhism and in Hinduism for scriptural purposes. And I hope you will enjoy Imee. I'm pretty sure she's Thai. I've never actually looked her up. I just keep listening to her. She does the metta wonderfully. I've always enjoyed it, and I've played it for years. I was introduced to her, and that chant through Ajahn Sarayut, my teacher in Arizona, Thai monk, and I've just always enjoyed it. And I think that her album, I wish I had the commercial-free version of YouTube, but I'm done paying for stuff like that. So, the problem is you're listening to anything on YouTube, and eventually it's going to turn into an advertisement. So if you're not sitting at your desk, at your computer, so that you can hit skip ads or that kind of thing, you're going to be interrupted. But some of you may have the ad-free version, and you'll be able to enjoy the whole 1 hour plus. I also included Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee is a young violinist, and I've seen watched a couple of videos of him, and I thought, I said yesterday that I was publishing music on my podcast, Indian Music, and I said I would explore other countries as well. Today is not an exploration of Chinese music, but I threw that in. Hello, Becky and Chris, and I already said hello to Kathy, Rose, Donna, Jackson, Kathy Green, Kathy Peterson. I'm going to see y'all in about, 10 days' time, approximately. So on with the podcast. So Om is it's just a tool, really. And I thought, tonight's meditation night. Tonight I teach meditation at the Buddhist temple. I have for 10 years, nonstop. Hello, Mark and Ann. Welcome. And so I thought, maybe I need to kind of set the mood. Why go out and find some rock music or something like that, some oldies but goldies, and put that in when, as soon as this is off the air, I jump in my car, I go to the Buddhist temple, and I start doing the whole, setting the mind to meditation. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to put music in here that lends itself. Well, what do I mean lends itself? When you meditate, as Palace Night, when you meditate in the Vipassana tradition, Vipassana meditation, Theravada Buddhist tradition, you don't use music. You use your breath. Your breath is the meditation object. But there's no reason that you can't, on occasion, also relax and allow music to facilitate that relaxation and even a marginal meditative state. Some people may be able to use certain meditation music to achieve a good meditation. But in Vipassana meditation, the one I teach, it's 2 parts. The first part is focusing on the breath, what we call samadhi. Samadhi is concentration. So we teach concentration, focus on the breath, stay in the moment, resist the temptation to run amok with the thoughts. For some reason, when we meditate, well, for some reason, for some reason, our own mind will frequently attack us and attack us, you know, somewhat harmlessly. It will try to drag us off into some sort of future anxiety or past pain. It seems to be pretty prevalent. I mean, I've been around hundreds and hundreds of people meditating, and this is a pretty common reaction. So, so the first thing is to start practicing concentration, to stay in the moment, to resist these influences, internal and external. And then the second part is the vipassana, which is insight. That's what vipassana is translated into English. And at the development of wisdom. So once we're able to stay in the present moment and we're able to observe this thing called the mind, these thoughts, and to see them and to look at them with a detachment rather than clinging or grasping to them. As one monk said to me, there is no thought you will have worth clinging to, right? Let the thoughts run their natural course. Let them fade just as they appeared out of nowhere. Let them fade into wherever. And they're nothing but clouds. They have no substance. And some thoughts may be positive and wholesome. That's fine. Still, you can let them go. And some thoughts may be negative. They may be unwholesome. They may even be hostile to you. Well, in meditation, we learn to just look and observe and, kind of report back to ourselves. Well, that's not real healthy. So this Om was considered kind of not in the Theravada tradition, not in the Vipassana tradition, but in other traditions, other Buddhist traditions, was seen as kind of a springboard into a meditative state. And Imee, if you're going to want to listen to some nice music, I don't know how you get her. I don't know if Spotify has her. But anyways, I think she's wonderful. The tone of her voice. I've had some people say that her voice annoys them. She doesn't annoy me. I dig it. So, I'm going to go to the palace tonight, which is called Wat Dallas. Wat is the word for temple. Dallas, the city I'm in. All of them don't have like Wat Tucson, Wat Dallas, Wat Chicago. A lot of them have, like the one in Arizona, is called Wat Buddha Metta. Buddha, Metta, So it's the temple of the Buddha of loving kindness. Sometimes the words, the Pali words or the Thai words, are very lengthy, and I know not what they mean. It's frequent. I don't know what the temple I lived at in Thailand, Wat Dak Yung, Eaung, is the temple of orchids. And we had a lot of planters around the property. Many of them were growing orchids. Most Buddhist temples will have significant landscaping. A lot of monks really enjoy landscaping, and they do a very good job of it. They also frequently design and develop water features on the grounds of the temple, because there's something about the sound of running water that's very peaceful and lends itself to the ambiance of a Buddhist temple. I probably would have enjoyed being in the synagogue more if they'd have had some fountains and I could have sat by the fountain instead of going to listen to Mandy Patinkin sing in Hebrew. But Mandy singing in Hebrew is not bad but I just, he might as well have been singing in Greek or whatever. I never knew what was going on. I was not a good Hebrew school attendee when I attended. So, all right. I hope that all made sense. And that Om is just one of the elevators to the top floor. But the breath, how simple to have accessible to every human, the breath. So you don't have to have music. You don't have to have a teacher. Teachers help. I shouldn't say you don't have to have a teacher. You don't have to have music. You don't have to have perfectly quiet. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be in a temple. You don't have to be a place of worship or a temple. I have meditated in at automotive garages where they were working on my tires. Um, it's nice that the breath is so accessible. Now, the interesting thing about asking people to focus on the breath when they're meditating is it sounds so simple. So people are not initially always intimidated when you tell them that we're going to sit here, we're going to focus on the breath. But after 1 minute or 2 minutes, when they've already decided how difficult it is, they realize simple but difficult, simple but challenging. And then, so what we do on Wednesday nights is we do 20 minutes of sitting meditation, and I get people guided to begin with for maybe 5 minutes or so. Then it's silent. Then we stop at 20 minutes and we do walking meditation. Again, a simple gesture, a simple request to walk mindfully, to concentrate on every movement of your body as you walk across a room. A very simple instruction, a very taxing one. Just difficult because the mind tends to just go everywhere, right? You're sitting there walking and then you're wondering, did I set the VCR to record the baseball game? Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Did I leave the oven on? I don't care what it is. People walking, and when you're walking and you're focused on the lifting of your foot, the moving of your foot forward, the setting of your foot down, the foot actually touching the ground, the shifting of your weight so that you can lift the back foot now, the lifting of it once you've shifted your weight, the moving forward, the setting it down, the touching to the ground. You would think that that's a lot to think about, and yet here you'll be thinking about something else. So there's simplicity in the Buddhist practice of meditation, but I find it challenging 12 years in now. I find it challenging. I find that when I sit, probably within 5 breaths, I'll be thinking about something. I will catch myself. I don't chastise myself. I long ago stopped chastising myself for drifting away from the breath. I simply recognize it. I'm like, oh, here I go, thinking, thinking, thinking. And then I bring myself back to the present moment with my breath. And I think, breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. And I stay there until 3 breaths or 4 breaths or 3 seconds later, I'm thinking about, you know what? That damn Mark McDougall owes me $5 from 40 years ago. He came up to me. He wanted to buy a $5 bag. I gave him $5. He was supposed to come back and say he never did. Next time I see that Mark, I'm going to get my money from him. And suddenly, if you think about it, you're like, how long ago was that? I'm not accusing Mark, by the way. Mark did not borrow $5 from me. I was just using him as a example, a tool. Why am I thinking about that? 5 years later, 10 years later, 5 months later, doesn't matter. Why is this creeping into my thoughts? Did I invite this thought? No, I didn't invite the thought. The thought was swirling around with so many other thoughts, and I didn't have to invite chaos. Chaos it's natural in my mind and possibly in your mind. So many people say to me, well, I can't meditate because I can't hold still. Well, if you could hold still, maybe you wouldn't need to meditate. The truth is, most people cannot hold still. There's people that can pretend to be holding still, but their mind is wrapped around the axle over and over again. So, people say, well, I can't meditate because my mind's too busy. Busy mind is absolutely got nothing to do with meditation, because you're going to sit there, and no matter how busy your mind is, you're going to say, breathing in. I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out. I know that I'm breathing out. And every time I lose my focus on the breath, I'll simply come back and start again. And sometimes I'll take this deep breath, kind of reset my intention. It's like, oh my God, it just seems so crazy. Tell you what. Return to the breath, the rising and falling of the breath. So for me, I don't use Om, but I think that anything that helps somebody to center the mind in the present moment, if Om can do that, that's great. I'm not familiar. Well, that's the wrong way to say. I'm familiar with transcendental meditation. I don't know from where it originates. It was very popular in the late 60s and 70s. Some people still go learn transcendental meditation. But I have a lot of people I know that went and learned it. At some point, here's what they explain to me. They focus on a spot in front of them, like a spot on the wall. And at some point, they're given a mantra. It's their mantra. They're never to repeat out loud the mantra to anybody. Their teacher gives them this mantra. I don't know what a mantra sounds like. Over all the years, I've never had anybody say, "Would you like to know what my mantra is?" So they do a good job at keeping it secret. I mean, I've met guys that are 70-something years old that have been practicing transcendental meditation for many years. I assume it's effective. I have nothing to compare it to because I don't practice it. I've participated in other forms of meditation where people said, "Oh, imagine yourself laying down. You're laying down on a beach. Imagine the sound of the waves. Imagine you feel a little bit of the water at your feet. Now you feel the sun on your face." I don't do that kind of meditation. I don't think there's a problem with it. It's just not the way I meditate. It's not the way I was taught to do it. I was taught focus on the breath. Okay. I didn't have to imagine myself anywhere. My mind imagines plenty of stuff without any help from me. So, thus, now you know why I chose Om. Wednesday night, and I could have put Vipassana in the title, and nobody would have known what the hell that was about. At least anybody who looked at the title tonight knew immediately. They've heard the word Om. It's not alien to them. Whether they know what it means, even though it's hard to tell what it means, at least they use. Almost everybody I know has heard people talk about Om, and you see people using a mudra. This is a mudra when you put your fingers together in a certain way. There's different mudras you can do. And some people come to my temple and use a mudra, although I don't use a mudra. In the Thai Buddhist tradition, we simply place the left hand under the right hand like this, and the thumbs touch lightly, and that rests in our laps while we have our legs crossed. The right leg is on top of the left leg. That's just tradition. I don't know that it ever means anything. Did you ever participate in the Buddhist chanting that was done quite a bit in Hyde Park? Never. Never. I think I don't know anything about it, Kathy. I know that Nichiren Sokagai is a modern Buddhism that comes out of Japan, and that a Buddhist priest in Japan kind of invented this new lineage of Buddhism that he calls Sokagai, and it was used a lot in minority communities. A lot of Black people took to it. They do a lot of urban outreach. Good for them. And they have a chant that they practice. It's Nam Yam Ho Renge Kyo Ho. Nam Yam Ho Renge Kyo Ho. Nam Yam Ho Renge Kyo. And they did that for everything. So if they needed wealth, they were told, chant for it. You need to find your lost wallet, chant for it. You need to find the screwdriver you can't find. Whatever it is you seek, you were taught to chant. And I guess they gather in their temples and they chant, and things come to them as a result of chanting. In the Theravada Buddhist tradition, you chant for sanity. You don't chant for things, ever. That I've never heard of anybody in this tradition chanting to receive anything other than sanity. Without sanity, there's no serenity. If serenity is a goal in our lives, and it is in everybody's life that I've ever met, everybody I know at some point said, "I just wish I could quiet my mind and just be serene, then this is the path that I found that actually works towards that goal. I know people who practice Nichiren, Sokagai, uh, chanting, Buddhism, but uh, they think that Nam Yam Ho Renge Kyo Ho is a conglomeration. Contained within there is the Diamond Sutra of the Buddha, and that this distillation of all his scriptural teachings are condensed into that one chant, and that by chanting it, they're essentially reciting all the truths of the Buddha. So I did know more than I admitted to, didn't I? Okay, but I've never practiced Sokagai. Um, all right. So it's 6:26. I'll be leaving shortly. Do we have any other questions? I hope this was illuminating. I know most of you don't practice meditation. And in the alternative, those of you that practice meditation, most of you probably don't practice uh, the Vipassana meditation. It's a lot of people, when I tell them I'm a practicing Theravada Buddhist, they look at me and go, Theravada? It's not well known outside of Southeast Asia. Zen Buddhism seems to be known everywhere, but that's only indicative of the popularity it's gained in Japan and China and Korea. Tibetan Buddhism, very prominent, but very small in terms of actual practitioners, because nobody would have heard of Tibetan Buddhism if it wasn't for the Dalai Lama becoming an international personality. And I don't begrudge him a minute of it, but Tibet is a small country. You would never have heard of Tibetan Buddhism but for the Dalai Lama's fame. And number two, the fact that Tibetan Buddhist practitioners, monks, I should say, and Nepalese monks uh, will often travel the world and will promote Buddhism. Theravada monks rarely ever promote Buddhism. They just practice it and teach it to their students, and they don't go out and they're not evangelical. They don't set up centers to attract Anglos to it. They just set up their temples in the hopes that they can help their Thai community or the Laotian or Burmese, Myanmar, which is Burma, or Sri Lankan communities. So I hope that answered Kathy. That's probably more than Kathy wanted to know. She just wanted to know, did I participate? She didn't want to know what the hell they were chanting. She just wanted to know what's up. Did you ever do it? The answer was simply no. All right. So the palace awaits. I should begin to our meta because I need to change my shirt. I'm hot. The temple is air conditioned, but it goes off and on. And when I was first learning to meditate, I used to go to this temple. It was out in the desert in Tucson. That's where Ajahn Sai was first located, and it was hot. The Buddha Hall had no air conditioning. The house, the rooms had air conditioning, but the meditation hall did not, and that's where we practiced. And those of you that have ever been in Tucson in the summertime, it can be 115 in the day. So I got Mark. So I had no choice but to sit in this heat. I mean, it was so hot, I'd fall asleep a lot of times. I used to take caffeine pills before I'd go to the temple so I wouldn't fall asleep. Well, actually, it was even worse than that. Usually we hiked first, so I was tired from hiking, and then we sat in the heat. But I'll tell you what, it sure made me grateful for the air conditioning. Thank you for the informed response. So Mark asked the following question: when will I get the $5 that I owe you? Think about that one, kids. When will I get the $5 that I owe you? Wow, there is a tortured mind. I think Yoda is his teacher. All right, if you'll do me a favor and begin to just relax. We've had this relaxing exchange about Buddhist meditation. I provide you with some what I think is really relaxing music. And I think, as I did yesterday, I'll allow it to be in the background as I guide you, as I do the end of each podcast, in the practice of reflecting on loving kindness. And if you're new, it goes like this. Bring your hands before your hearts. Bow your heads. It looks exactly like praying, right? Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think to yourself, may I be happy, healthy, free from harm. May I be free from anger, anxiety, and fear. And may this practice guide me to greater peace and comfort in my life. And may my mother and father, all my family members, all my friends be happy, healthy, and free from all harm as they too seek the path to a life of greater peace and comfort. And to those persons I hold any ill will towards, let me send them goodwill to offset this bad will. May they be happy, healthy, free from harm, living lives of contentment, peace, joy. And then finally, to all living beings throughout the entire universe, may they be the recipient of our collective compassion, kindness, love. May all living beings be happy, healthy, free from harm, living their lives in safety, comfort, and peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. So thank you, Mark and Ann and Kathy and Joan and Rose and Kathy Peterson and Chris and Becky and I said both Kathys, I think. Chris and Becky, Rose, Jackson, Donna, anybody that stuck around, yo, yo, yo. Peace out.